Going on, guys? It's Sunday, October, I think it's like the 4th, maybe 5th, I don't know. And the fall's been pretty graceful this year. I don't think we've had a frost yet, so the trees are turning color instead of just dying and losing their leaves. And this video we're going to be looking at things accomplished this summer and some changes. I'm always making changes. Solar thing so far, it's been working nice, and I'm not really seeing the degrading batteries that everybody told me I'm gonna have with the deep cycle ones, 12-volt deep cycles. So far I've taken in 7,743 ampere hour, and before I got this meter I was keeping track of it with a kilowatt meter. These were kilowatts, and I converted that to ampere hour, added it to, this is the total, and if I did the math right, it's 92.91 kilowatts. And so you do have inefficiencies. I didn't actually get to use the 92.91. It's probably about 20% less than that. One of them I fixed up was this 300EX. It's kind of a beater bike. Most of the things on it's like pretty worn but still usable stuff. Things we did is kind of dressed it up a little bit with these boots, put a different, better looking plastics on here. It's kind of a mess right now, but put some decals and stuff on to dress it up. Put a better seat on it. This engine's starting to smoke, so I figure another year or two I'm gonna have to do something about freshening this engine up. Other thing, we did the LT230 project. There's a playlist for it. There's actually, took me a couple years, so it has it's a 1985, has a Chinese engine on it. I actually got a thumbs down on this bike on one of my videos, and there's a number of reasons why somebody gave me a thumbs down on it, but maybe they didn't like the tires or the fact that I put a Chinese engine in it. But this bike was pulled out of a dumpster basically. I mean, it was $150 Craigslist find. There was nothing left of it. I mean, it was so bad. I mean, I think the only thing I actually used, rear swing arm, which has all new bearings in it. I used the frame, and I think that header right there came from the original bike. I think maybe the two arms on the left side, I put new hind joints or bushings in it to reuse those. These arms I got off of eBay. There's hardly anything from that I used. Basically, I did this thing a favor for what it is. It's new life, and if you're Suzuki lovers and you don't like the fact I put that in there, I mean, I did this thing a favor. Another bike would be this Chinese bike. I bought 3 of them brand new, and this is pretty much what's left. And then I have some usable parts on the wall that belongs to it. But right now I don't plan on running it, so I kind of got it boarded up so that tires don't get flat spots on them and crack. This Cavalier was a project that I started and kind of ran into some problems with it, and has ceased to keep going. But this car has been wrecked. You see here, and the whole front end has been pushed over, and they was able to align it, I guess, probably dog legs. But one of the problems I'm having with it, I don't know if I can get the light to, see if I can get the shade the camera. But anyways, there is a motor mount down in here that has a couple bolts in it, and they're right up against the frame, like that far away, and I need about probably at least that much room to get them out. or at least get them loose enough to where you get the mount with the bolts coming out of it. And that keeps me from getting a motor mount down in here, or not a head bolt out, sorry, a head bolt out, because there's a tensioner that has a bolt coming from the outside in, and that's keeping me from doing anything with this car. Sorry about the wind. And it's either pull the whole motor and transmission out of it. I did look to see if I could drop the engine down far enough, and it's gonna run into this subframe that bolts in here, so you have to either remove that or remove the motor and transmission together, which you might be able to get the whole motor and training out the top, maybe. I told my uncle about the situation. It's his car, and he's thinking about hooking a chain to the front end of it and yanking it with the truck. I don't know, something of that nature. So it's just sitting here. I banked a lot of videos earlier in the year, and I was just releasing 1 or 2 a week. And because I have been beaten up this year with car stuff, and at first I wasn't going to post anything about cars in here, and a lot of it is I'm just a backyard kind of guy, and I don't know everything, and I run into problems and maybe video them, and then later on realize that I was completely wrong with something, and then I got a video made of it. So I made some bunch of videos when I was changing this engine in this terrain, and I just didn't want to post them. I made some comments on things and found out that I was, times has changed, things is different, and but it all went well. The engine's in there. There's no engine codes. I put, other than the engine, it has a brand new exhaust manifold, new O2 sensors. All 4 rotors are new, all the pads are new, all brand new tires on it. And I may mention when I bought this thing that I thought the front of had new struts and shocks on it. It has new struts on the front, or newer. There's little tags and everything. They're like a year old from what I could gather with the tags. And but the shocks on the back was original, and they was getting kind of leaky. Wasn't bouncy, but they was leaky, so I changed those out as well. I did have some problems with the back brakes on this. Is they're disc, but there's a drum disc or drum brake inside of it. Is the parking brake. I had a heck of a time with those, and it doesn't have parking brakes anymore. In the state I live in, there's no vehicle inspection or emission checks or anything like that. It's automatic. A lot of times around here, parking brakes go bad because they don't get used. You just put it in park and call it a day. I'll just have to keep in mind when I go to park it that I can't park it on a hillside, because all it is the parking gear holding it. When I took it off, like I said, I could have put it back together, but I would have had to buy all kinds of crap to get the parking brake back, because I destroyed the back plate and all kinds of stuff. But in the process of it, I damaged one of the wheel speed sensors. So it's like keeps kicking on and off the ABS, the traction control, and the all-wheel drive. And this one here is the only one that I think I damaged. And it's like $55 to replace it. But other than that, there's no engine lights, and it runs and drives. I just got to replace that wheel speed sensor. Basically, I had to put crowbars back behind the drum, the disc, and pry out on it. And the crowbar hit the wiring to the speed sensor and kind of pulled it up out about that far. And I pushed it back down in, hoping for the best. It went a whole week without throwing any lights, and even now it'll kick it off and then it'll come back on. It might stay on for a day or 5 minutes, you know, it's what it is, what it is. I just got to replace that speed sensor. Some other things going on is the Saturns. The silver one, just like this one, which has the 4-cylinder in, I replaced the shocks in the back on it and put new tires on the front. That would be the silver one. This one here I haven't done anything to except for is having computer issues. I got it locked. I mentioned it in another video about computer problem with it, and it's the body control module. I looked it up on YouTube and all kinds of stuff, and the problems that I'm having with it is a little IC inside of, you know, the body control module. There's like a dozen or so in them, and one of those is known to go bad. Sorry about the wind. Basically a guy just knows which one is bad and which one to replace, and you send it off to him. It's $165, and that includes the shipping to him and back, and that'll fix up this thing. Pretty much what the problem I'm having with it is the odometer freezes, the dash lights don't want to work, the dome light don't want to work. I have a throttle condition, like this thing's fly-by-wire, it doesn't have a throttle cable, and no matter how far you push the gas, there's only like 1/3 capable gas pedal. So like even when you mash it to the floor, it won't downshift. It just acts like you're only pushing the gas 1/3 of the way down. And it doesn't do it every day, or it seems to like cooler weather. And I actually put a switch on the fuse to the body control module because it seemed like if I was to pull the fuse out and put it back in, it would reset it. So I had a wire ran up with a switch that I could keep turning it on and off to get it to where everything was working and I could drive it. But that'll be all the work I've done on that. And right now the computer isn't back yet. It's in the middle of the processing, so it remains to be seen if that actually fixes it. One of the things I never did get around to is putting the spouting on my garage. It's just killing me to get it on there because when I'm out here when it's raining, water is just pouring off like a waterfall. Maybe I'll get around to that next summer, but this just sucks I didn't get to that this year. Also got the shed doors in, and because that was getting to be a pretty bad situation. The doors was just falling apart on it. I've yet to get one of Harvey's bikes in there, and some other things back behind that needs to go in there. Maybe I'll try to get to that before the weather gets crap. Some of the carnage from playing with tannerite. It's a stove that blew up with the tannerite. You can just buy that stuff at Roll King. It comes in like 12 or so pound. You know, and it has a whole bunch of little containers. You just mix aluminum powder in it, shoot it. Kind of fun to play with, but at the same time it sucks because you got to shoot it with a high velocity rifle, and then sometimes you got to get close, and if you're trying to blow something up with it, you got to get debris and flying at you that could potentially like cut your head off. But that was a lot of fun. Kind of hard to tell what you're looking at here, but in the spring I mentioned something about there's an old septic tank on this property, and the local government here started, or at least talking about cracking down on people that has old septic tanks in use and ones that's been abandoned, and this one was an abandoned one. Right now there's a big dip in the ground right here because the dirt settled, but kind of a boring topic, but for me it was work. I had to drag or wheelbarrow dirt from over there. Basically when my dad 30 years ago made a driveway, he dug out the bank and he took all the dirt and dumped it there, and I took some of that dirt and brought it down here to fill in the septic tank. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work caving this in because there was like pipes. You can kind of still see them I left the pipes in. The outside edges of the tank is all intact. It's just we caved in the top of it and just filled it in. But that was a lot of work. So here lies Pinky. I actually I haven't done anything to this because I've been so busy with the cars. But I actually sold the engine that goes on there, the Chinese engine that was on it. I sold it to my cousin. So it's not gonna be Pinky anymore. So I just did not want to put together another bike with that small engine. So I just sold it. Plan is, I got the frame there, 300EX frame, 300EX frame, and then we have one I call Glen 300EX. This one here is actually a 250X frame. One of the motor mounts is bad. I put a little scab thing in there to try to fix it, and one of the bolts up here is stripped out for our motor mount. So what I'm going to do is that, and Glen currently has suspension set up like this, 300EX arms, and then these 2-inch spacers on here, which makes the steering have to travel to turn, and has them short little 300EX shocks that are 13 inches. And so what I'm going to do is cut the Chinese mounts out, and all the original mounts are in it. And I'm going to put the 400 arms on here with the longer shocks, and I won't need the spacers anymore, so the steering will be correct, proper again. And paint this frame, and basically just later on I'll move everything from the engine and stuff from that bike to this one. And then I also have this 300EX here. I have an engine on the shelf that needs finished put back together for an engine for it. And then I also have a third engine. Pretty much I'm just going to piece together one, and then I'll have a whole bunch of parts. So in the end there'll be 2 300EXs, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm kind of starting to get worn down on the hobby of building bikes. I just pretty much want to finish these two and kind of just have a just maintenance on them. Been kind of tossing around later on, probably when I get done with the 300EXs, kind of tossing around doing something with the Rhino frame. It's over here. I had that project going, and I'm gonna dial it down when I do something with it. I'm gonna kind of dial it down to where it's just a yard cart. It's not gonna be a romping flying machine. It's just gonna be a little truck to kind of run around here. Like I trim trees or cut a tree down, I can haul the stuff off in it, and that kind of a sort of a little vehicle. Probably power with like a lawnmower engine or something of that nature. But I have a little bit of debt to work off with doing stuff with the cars, and I got Christmas on the way, and pretty much I think I'm going to take a break from making videos because I just won't have anything going on, and the weather's going to start turning to crap. And so I guess I'll catch you guys later. Might be later in the winter or spring. So see you then.